say a lot of people want to know why we aren't with like the SCPC or the
Let's start it without saying. Do we want to even address that, or just say why don't
yes,
you?
because
Okay,
we're totally going to do this
start
raw
that
and
over.
live.
Okay.
So I'm just including that in it. Um, I have nothing against all these different groups and
Societies.
societies. I think they're great for somebody that feels like they need that support. Now, let me clarify why I'm saying that. We're not the sort of academy that is going to close the door and say good luck and you're just out there floundering trying to figure out how to do this on your own. So a lot of those societies I think are good because it gives you like a support team.
Yeah.
And but we have that with our academy. We have a private group and we give them our cell phones, we give them our emails, we have constant contact with them. I mean, I probably baby and hold these girls hands the first few months outside of training until they feel like they're confident enough to go on their own. That's one reason I'm not a part of it. But the second reason I choose not to be a part of it is I have sat into trainings before where the requirement to take the training was that you had to be in the industry or an artist for at least a year. Next to me, to the right of me, was a student that had trained um, for a year, right? So she fit the requirement. She had trained a year ago, but she hadn't touched one person in a year. And I had a student that wanted to take the class. She had trained like 6 months ago. It hadn't been a year yet, so they wouldn't let her in. But she had worked on 150 people. So my question is why set that standard? And I don't know really if that falls into like what society that falls
This is
into.
just
I'm just
kind of
saying
in
that in
general.
general, this is what I've experienced with different groups. You can't take this class unless you've been trained for a year. So you're going to let her take it. She was trained a year ago, but she hasn't worked on one person. But you're not going to let Susie take it. She trained 6 months ago and she's worked on 150 people. So for me,
It's
it just doesn't make sense to make a blanket statement like that. I
true.
do
It's
appreciate that they're trying to set standards.
in doing that they have to make rules, and an easy way to determine if someone's qualified. This is just me thinking for them.
Right.
To do that, they have to make rules, and the easy way is to say, okay, they have to have X amount of years.
Now, we all know I don't like rules.
No, we don't.
So
We understand that, but I think a lot of these groups need to kind of get with the times and stop being lazy and just take 5 minutes and look at their work. We have a lot of students that want to come take some of more of the advanced courses, and we'll physically submit your work, send us your photos, let's see what you're doing, and then we'll kind of take 5 minutes and look to see what they're doing to see if they're even qualified, if we should be having the conversation of taking an advanced class.
right.
Because I get a lot of people, oh, I'm a tattoo artist, or I've done soft tap, or whatever, but I want to start learning microblading hair strokes.
Right.
And so I'm not going to say you can't come to, maybe the
You want to
refresher
check their
course.
quality first, make sure they're ready for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and to touch base on that as well, a lot of students will say, well, how come you're not a trainer under this society? And Jared and I fought with that a lot, thinking like, okay, do we want to do it? Do we not want to do it? And I ultimately came to the decision that I don't want to have to pay somebody $500 a year just for a certificate saying I'm qualified when I know I'm qualified. So I like my work and my students' work to speak for itself, not necessarily a certificate saying I'm qualified to train for this group. And that being said as well, when you do that, you're then required to follow their ways of training. And we have such a solid, good training platform that we've put together. I don't want to stray from that. And I don't want somebody coming in and saying, well, you can't train for that on 2 days. It has to be one day, or you can't. Do you know what I mean? Like, so a lot of these places will say you need to take a 7-day course or a 6-day course. But in that 6 or 7-day course, they're training on 4 different techniques. We're spending 5 days on one technique. So from a professional standpoint, I think it's more beneficial for you guys to learn one technique, master it, then when you're ready to learn something else, then you go take another class. But you don't take all 3 at one time. You don't spread yourself that thin. You're never gonna. It is literally impossible to learn all the information that's needed to be learned in 2 days. You just can't do it.